Then there was a famine in the days of David 3 years, year after year, and David inquired of the Lord. And the Lord answered, it is for Saul, for his bloody house, because he slew what? The Gibeonites. Let me explain. You know, in the book of 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 8, how many of you still remember it? It said, be sober. What did it say again? It said, be vigilant. Why? Because your adversary, the devil, he's walking about seeking whom he might, what? And I told you that his motion is not just from east to west. His motion can also be from present to past. So what happened here is that 700 years before David, in the days of Joshua, because Joshua refused to inquire of the Lord about the status of the Gibeonites and he entered into a covenant with them, God, who happens to be a covenant-keeping God, in his eyes, the covenant he had with the Gibeonites was binding. 70 years before David became king. Are you with me? First is 700 years. The covenant was 700 years. The offense was 70 years before David became king. Saul, wanting to show that he had zeal for God, went and killed the Gibeonite. 3 years into David's rule as king, there was a famine. And because Israel was heavily covenanted, it was illegal for Israel to have a famine. So this king was troubled and he went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord gave him insight about the status of the justice system that was playing out against Israel. Are you with me? He said, Saul went and killed the Gibeonites, and the covenant that Israel has with the people of Gibeon has my seal upon it. So the accuser brought the seal to court. I say, will the God of the earth not do justice? Huh? Meanwhile, God in that court is a righteous judge. You are not with me. So he brought the seal and said, once upon a time, a covenant was entered into and you blessed it. And now, someone came and broke the covenant. Because this covenant has been broken, judgment must come from you in keeping with the covenant. And these things didn't happen in David's time. It was not David that went to kill. Satan knew when Saul went to break the covenant, but Satan was looking for an occasion that was most suitable for him to press charges. You are not with me? You are not with me? Do you know, some of you, your grandfather sold slaves. And that was wickedness to humanity. And because of that loophole, Satan can travel into the past and find something. Are you with me? So that he can take to court. And then you begin to see some symptoms in your life that is not consistent with the things that the Bible has said about your destiny. Even the visions that you see are contradictory to your current experiences. How many of you have ever experienced such a thing? Okay, nobody. Oh, okay. The ones that are for you, the ones that have experienced such contradiction and are expecting, trusting God for an intervention. That's why I came here. Are you with me? This reproach that came on Israel came through the activity of an accuser. And because God is a God that judges righteous judgment, he had to allow Satan have his way in that court. Meanwhile, what did David do? David did what? He inquired. Oh, you are not with me. David, you know, men ought always to pray. Have you inquired about what happened that gave the devil the advantage over your family? You have not done that because you don't believe that prayer is a critical part of the solution. And David decided to inquire of the Lord. And what did the Lord tell him? The Lord downloaded the case file. The justice situation that was in the court of heaven was downloaded to David. Are you with me? That's not all. God will give you the case file and also tell you the things that you are supposed to do to remove the ground of legality that the devil is exploiting. And when the ground of legality is removed, the devil will have no authority in court. That's how we operate in that place. That's the kind of prayer we pray, considering God as a judge. The only prayer you know is our Father. You only know God as Father within the context of your prayer. That's why you are limited. There are some justice issues that God cannot put aside until adequate litigation is done based on the resources of the New Testament. Are you with me? David inquired of the Lord, and in the revelation that God gave David, the case file was downloaded. That's how I prayed about my family, because I saw my grandfather at 110 years old. I saw him. Wasn't using a cane to walk, and he wasn't using glasses, and he had a straight back. But in my father's generation, they could not live more than 60. If you arrive 60 years, you have accomplished your life expectancy from the days of my father. Meanwhile, I saw my grandfather at 110 with a straight back. Straight back. He was praying to die, but death was far away from him. It's only spiritually intelligent people will know that something has happened in the justice sector that has influenced life expectancy. Are you with me? You will need more than tongues to deal with that matter. Because the power of the average Christian and the power of the youth congregation, the youth generation of Christians is speaking in tongues. But we have not learned how to engage in court affairs. Some of the bondages that bedevil people in this place this night are intertwined with justice issues. And the accuser has taken the name of your family to court. And darkness, a shadow, has been casted over you. Are you still with me? And God, in his capacity as a judge, what he wants to achieve with that capacity is to bring salvation to you. But you must understand how to prosecute prayer within that context in order to remove the ground of legality that Satan had. For humankind, the ground of legality was the fruit we ate in Eden. And the position of the justice system of heaven was that we'll have to die. And that's why when redemption was coming to us, it came in form of a man who had the ability to die. And so in order for Jesus to prosecute redemption, he had to suspend his omniqualities, so that in every respect he could be as much as a man as I am, giving him the premise to be able to satisfy the claims of divine justice and to remove the ground that the enemy had. It was an adventure in the court session, an adventure in court that took place on the cross. He said, now, John chapter 12 verse 31 is the judgment of this world. Now the prince of this world is cast out. And that's the first time Jesus was speaking something about the kingdom, and he was standing on an if I be lifted up. It means in satisfying the claims of divine justice, Jesus should not attempt to be the one to kill himself, because if he does,